Hello, Kerbal, and welcome back to Minding the Man and More Part 14. An asteroid, doom or boom. Okay, ignoring the title for the time being, here we have the asteroid, and I've set it on a course to skim the atmosphere about, 46 kilometers? This was my simulation. I decided I'll do a simulation, I'll find out what height I need to set the asteroid at for it to reduce its orbital speed and get into orbit around Kerbin, because it's on an escape trajectory. Okay, so it looks like 46 kilometers is not going to do it because it's still going to escape the sphere of influence of Kerbin. So let's reload and try again. This is going to be my second simulation. I thought I need two data points to find out the correct height to do the deorbit. So this time I decided, I think 32 kilometers by here. I can see that to deorbit it, not to deorbit it, to set it on a trajectory to skim the atmosphere, I use the normal, or is it anti-normal? I use one of the blue bloody circles to set the maneuver node, so I can work out in which direction I need to burn. Okay, after setting that up, it's just a matter of turning the asteroid around, and that takes ages. Okay, let's talk about this episode, or let's talk about this series. I'm not sure if we want to change it, and I did give the option of what we're going to do in these episodes to you guys as well. Like you chose to redirect an asteroid rather than go to Duna at mine. So that's okay. I'm up to that, but what I want to know now is, should we change this up so while I'm doing this all in the background, do you want to talk about space news, things that are happening in real life, or perhaps the dev notes? I've done dev notes before on here and I'm going to go through them again, but shall I do some space news, or perhaps if you want to ask a question in the comments below, perhaps then we can include that. Right, I've rotated the asteroid now, I'm thrusting this, and I have to be careful. We only have 44 meters per second with this attached to the asteroid. Now if we detach this from the asteroid, we have quite a bit of delta V actually. Okay, so let's carefully get that height of 32 kilometers. And once we've done that, all we have to do is decouple from the asteroid. Now, note, this is important. I put some thruster blocks. Not thruster blocks. What would you call them? Not on this asteroid, not on this attempt now, but on the previous attempt, which I didn't record, and before the maneuver, I put some RCS blocks on the asteroid itself to help rotate it. Now, figured out that I don't actually need them on the asteroid to rotate it, but they do affect the asteroid. We'll get to that. Not on this attempt, on the attempt after this attempt. Right, to the mission at hand, we thrusted it away from the asteroid towards Kerbin. That's to raise our orbit height to about 150 kilometers, and that means also that we get to Kerbin before the asteroid does. And there's a good reason for that. I want to create an orbit with this without having to affect the asteroid. And really, when you're in this game, you have to follow an object to be affected by the atmosphere of a planet. Now, if I don't circularize this orbit, the command pod, or this craft will escape Kerbin and go into a solar orbit. So I'm gonna have to put that into a circular orbit. No, not a circular orbit. I'm gonna have to put it into an orbit around Kerbin. That is so that we don't have to worry about that escaping. So, and the reason why is because we have to control the asteroid. If you're not physically controlling a ship, then you're not going to have the atmospheric effects of that object in the game. So we always have to switch back and forth. Okay, now that we're doing that, we can head straight down to Kerbin and see if attempt number 2 yields any better results. And I did figure, if this works and we get this into orbit, do we keep this as the real attempt and say the simulation will happen exactly like the real attempt? Nah, it's not going to work. No, it's not gonna work. My optimism is beaming, or whatever you would say. Okay, so while this is going on, let's talk about, I don't know, dev notes. Okay, dev notes. Let's get the notes up. Okay, there has been little more to show this week. However, they're getting closer. And a few things they've. Okay, Philippe with Harvester, the creator of the game, the originator, has made a ton of progress, finishing up the map icons, orbital context menus, KSC pals, and vessel markers, all the user interface of the game. And the reason is because originally they had the game running on 3 levels of user interface. It's not Squad's fault. They had multiple layers of user interface because the way that Unity works, and I think it's Unity 4 they currently were using, and in Unity 5.1, no, in Unity 5 they upgraded Unity to Unity 5, but what they had done, they upgraded the user interface in Unity 5.2. So Squad decided, why not use that? Because if you're like me, you find that clicking on a maneuver node can be quite difficult, especially when the maneuver node is quite far out, and this attempt doesn't seem to have worked. It appears we're still on an escape trajectory. However, another reload of the quick save, I attempt again, and this time I'm going to do a 22 kilometer drop down in the atmosphere. Still, everything's the same. We're just gonna do this. Decouple from the asteroid again. Get the spacecraft into an orbit around Kerbin, on a circular orbit, and then see what happens. So let's go back to the dev notes as that is happening. Okay, as I was mentioning, the user interface is going to be improved. Hopefully, clicking on those maneuver nodes will greatly improve it. And, well, that's the reason for the delay, so don't be mad at Squad. And some people have been complaining that in full games this would not happen. You would not have game-breaking updates. Squad is saying that this update will not break the game or any game saves. You could use previous game saves. However, modded games may break unless the mods are updated to use the same way the mods were used before. So that will have to be looked at differently because you're modding the game, you're changing the game. So you can't be mad at Squad. If you can use a normal stock save with a new update, that's fine. So just want to get that out of the way because that annoys me a bit. It's a different model. If you're modding the game, you're changing it and you're responsible for it. Okay, so next. Well, that is most of the news in the dev notes. They have been mentioned on the side where the KSpedia, if you're not entirely sure what the KSpedia is sort of a help file within the game. And I think it's going to include things like videos. Now, what would be brilliant with that is if, say, you want to learn how to do asparagus staging, and you click on the KSpedia, and it'll show you graphical overlays on how to build something. And you just follow those instructions, and hey presto, you've learned how to do asparagus staging. What would be cool? What's cool with that though? They're allowing modders to add to that. And yes, I noticed there, it looked like the asteroid was going to clip the planet and hit it. But checking the apoapsis, we're not actually going to, periapsis, we're not going to hit the planet. So don't worry. Just look at the apoapsis height. Yes, it's in the minus now and it's changing. I'm not sure if it's changing in the correct direction. But if you look at the speed, as we were dropping through the atmosphere, the speed was increasing on our orbit, on the surface, and as we come away from Kerbin, as you would expect, the speed is reducing. But it doesn't seem to be reducing to the atmospheric drag of the planet. Now that got me thinking, is it the physics of the asteroid? Perhaps the atmospheric drag of the asteroid isn't high? I'm not entirely sure. So what we'll have to do by here is try again. And this time we'll say, oh no. What I decide to do at this point is I'll keep on trying until I get something working. But I did note that when we had parts in it, the thermal dynamics of the asteroid started to show warning that it was going to overheat. So what I'm going to do by here is get Debert by here, get some parts out of the container, and just attach them to the asteroid. In total, we've got all these RCS thrusters, and in the other container on the other side, we've got some struts. And what we'll do is just place everything we got in there on the asteroid. I may even detach the claw from the spacecraft and just leave that on there. I think I do in this one. Okay, so while Debert is attaching them, I was on about the KSPedia. Yeah, it's allowing modders to be able to add mods and also add to this KSpedia. So you'll have instructions in game on how to use them. And I would have been able to learn how to use a Kerbal attachment system without having to resort to online. Yes, sometimes I'm lazy. But enough about my laziness. Okay, so that'll be awesome with the KSpedia. Now, in the dev notes, they haven't mentioned much other than remodeling their office, adding prints to it, and whatnots and what ifs. They have mentioned about that Ted is busy rearranging QA schedules for the release of 1.1. So that sounds like their 1.1 is done, but I don't think it is. They've still got some user interface things to change on that. So you'll have to wait for that. But they'll have more news, they said. Hopefully in the Squadcast, which I haven't watched. I'm not sure if you guys watch Squadcast on Twitch. It's where Max Maps goes onto Twitch and he explains things that are going on. Sometimes that can be quite interesting, but I'm in bed then, so there's no chance of me catching up with that. Although I do think they're recorded. Okay, so other than that, they've been asking people, do you want to join the media group? I think the applications are closed for that. And there were restraints on it. You had to have a certain amount of subscribers or Twitch followers and a certain amount of views per video, and etc, etc. So I'm not sure what's going to come from that. All I think the YouTubers or Twitch streamers would get is an advanced copy of the updates. Well, that'd be cool, actually. Because on the release date, they can show off on what you're going to get in the game. Alright, this is attempt 4 or 5. This is 4, I think. Now we've got the parts on there. You can see the asteroid's overheating. Hopefully it's slowing down. The apoapsis is... oh god, what's happened here? It looks like the asteroid has disintegrated within the atmosphere. And for the life of me, I don't know why this doesn't do it on its own. It's strange, really. Okay, so what I've done by here, I've done the exact same setup, but I've noticed that the grabber unit was holding most of the heat. So rather than detach that, we've just put the thruster blocks and the struts on there now. I was hoping that would be enough to reduce the speed, but if you look at it, we're still getting an increase of speed as we're falling down in the atmosphere, and we're getting increase in speed because, well, gravity is pulling it down, and as soon as it rises, the speed will reduce. Now, I'm thinking that this could be due to the atmosphere, that the parts aren't in front of the asteroid. In other words, the asteroid is blocking the aerodynamics of the atmosphere and not allowing the parts to slow it down. Now, there is a mod out there. I did consider this before doing this, that you can add these huge balloons onto it. I can't remember what they're called now. Balloons or something like that? I can't remember. But the idea was I could put large ones of them on the asteroid using grabbers and then use that to reduce the orbit. But I already captured the asteroid, so there's no chance of that. But it looks like the asteroid's on an escape trajectory, hasn't even disintegrated. That's disappointing. Okay, I do have one more trick up my sleeve. Okay, so I have one more trick up my sleeve. No, actually I have two more tricks up my sleeve. Two possibilities. This one, we're going to get D-Bert out and we're going to get him and his wrench. We're going to detach the solar panels. Yes, you've guessed it. We're going to grab one of the solar panels and attach it to the asteroid. Clever thinking, huh? Well, you saw that the asteroid overheated and disintegrated within the atmosphere. I was thinking this could help. Okay, while D-Bert's doing that, last bit on the dev notes I want to mention, and that is Scott Manley, Shimmy, and a couple other Twitch live streamers and YouTubers. They went to a B612 Foundation party, and this was in support of B612 Foundation. And if you don't know what they are, they're a group of privately funded, not privately funded actually, they're a group that are privately funded by perhaps you and me. If you want to donate, you can do, I think. But they're actually searching for asteroids. Not any particular asteroids, actually. They're searching for near-Earth asteroids. And that is an important job because, well, think about it. We got thousands of asteroids out there. And I won't say that all of them are near-Earth asteroids. Near-Earth asteroids, by the way, is showing that asteroids that are on an orbital path which intercepts the Earth's sphere of influence. No, not the sphere of influence. It's intercepting the Earth's orbit. Most of the time they just pass by harmlessly, but sometimes they come and cause destruction. They rain destruction on our planet. Well, I suppose most of you have heard of the asteroid which exploded above one of the Russian cities. I forgot what city that was now. But that was all caught on cameras and everything. And that's what the B612 Foundation are doing at the moment. They're searching for near-Earth asteroids and find out if they caused, or if any potential of causing damage to the planet. Are they going to hit our planet? Because it's quite likely that asteroid that is going to come and cause devastation is the one that we're going to miss. Because there are thousands out there, and those are probably the only ones that are near Earth. But back to the game, it looks like this attempt didn't work. Disappointment. Okay, can you guess what I'm going to do in this attempt? Of course you can. I've got even leaving the ship on the asteroid, but I'm reorientated the asteroid so that the ship is behind it when it's entering the atmosphere. We don't want Kurt, D-Bert, Islena, and whoever to die in this asteroid. And you can see the solar panels are starting to overheat, so I closed them up. But will this work? Will the added extra weight? Hopefully this will add extra physical drag to the asteroid, causing it to the orbit. Okay, we got multiple overheats. We're still in the green or in the orange. Now the asteroid's overheating. Oh no. No. Quick. And we've lost everything. Even the Kerbals. Luckily that was just another simulation. Because here comes the real attempt. Okay, we're leaving the solar panels open this time. I'm reorientating the ship quickly so we don't get so much overheating. I'm hoping the solar panels will dissipate some of the heat because that's one of the jobs they can be used for. I don't say that they're good at doing it. They seem to be glowing red as if they're into the atmosphere. And no! Quick, decouple, release the clamps. Release! I should have put the release of the grabber to an action group. It's off we go. Okay, quickly point the capsule retrograde. We need that heat shield to save our Kerbals. Where everything is going fine. By here, I'm looking for the asteroid. And I don't think I realised that it had actually exploded. Now, an explosion that large, I suppose, would cause a lot of disruption on the planet. But I suppose it's not big enough to cause a huge cataclysm of sort of like devastating ending a species extinction level event sort of thing. Anyway, while this is trying to deorbit, because he's going to have to do 2 passes to deorbit, let's talk about space news. And one interesting feature came up. They found this huge canyon. Not on Mars, we already know one on Mars, but there is one on Charon. And if you're not sure what Charon is a moon of Pluto. And recently we had the space probe New Horizons past that. And it took a lot of pictures, but it was going to take a while for it to send back all the pictures back because of the distance, the data rates and everything. It's not broadband. Anyway, what they found was a canyon system over 1,600 kilometers long. And it is huge. All across half the planet, or half the moon. And what they think this is caused by titanic geological upheavals in Charon's past, was the words that NASA used. Now, they're not sure what that could have been caused by. It could have been caused by impacts, volcanism, something impacted it, caused high volcanism on the planet, because also they found vast plains. And these vast plains don't have as many impact craters as the North Pole. I think it's the South, it's the South which is quite smooth looking at these pictures. And they think that these large volcanisms caused these smooth areas to be formed. So there's a lot that they have to learn. And in contrast, this is similar to what we've got on Mars. We've got this huge canyon system. And they think that on Mars, the volcanism was extreme that cooled down the planet. And you have to remember, Mars is 1/3 the size of Earth. So any molten core in there would cool down quickly. And they think this core cooled down, the magnetic field stopped, so the solar wind eroded the atmosphere of Mars. But Charon is a different case. Now, I'm not sure what could have happened to cause that large canyon. Now, I'm not a geologist, but you can bet your snacks NASA and all the scientists out there, all the geologists, are going to find out, or at least try to determine what could have caused it. Because there are quite a few theories out there where it could have been caused by volcanism from the planet. Perhaps it was newly formed and it had quite a hot mantle inside it. Or it could be something like an asteroid, or perhaps it impacted Pluto itself, and that's why we've got the moon system there. Because there are quite a few moons there. And one of the things that when the New Horizons space probe was passing Pluto, they were worrying about a lot of debris. And they thought, because they found so many moons orbiting Pluto, they thought that these have impacted at some point, causing multiple moons. And hey presto, you will have a lot of debris in orbit as well. Now, this turned out not to be so much the case. They didn't at least have any impacts on the probe, which was their main concern. Because at one point they used the antenna dish as a shield. Now, whether anything hit it, I don't think they know. They haven't got any sensors to tell if it's been hit. But it's still working. It's on its way to its next Kuiper Belt target. And it's going to find out what it's like out there. Anyway, I've rambled on enough about space news. Well, at least the one that was most interesting to me. If you want to continue the space news, perhaps you want me to cut it down a bit and concentrate more on this game, then let me know in the comments below. Or if you have questions you want me to answer in the game, let me know in the comments below, and I will try to answer them. Anyway, I'm Orbator. Trust me, I'm an engineer, not a geologist.